There are people in your life you can't really trust. Not because they show it clearly, not because they hurt you in obvious ways, but because they hide it. They cover their harm with charm, with being helpful, with small tricks. Carl Jung didn't just study the mind, he studied what people keep hidden. He showed that the real danger doesn't come from the loud ones. It comes from the quiet ones who act like they care while slowly breaking you down. They don't need to yell. They don't always insult. Sometimes they just smile. That's why you miss it. That's why Jung focused on the persona and the shadow. Because people don't reveal who they truly are. They only show you what works in the moment. If you don't see through it, you end up giving away your time, your trust, your energy, even your love to someone who was never safe. Jung described 6 masks, 6 patterns, 6 types of people who look harmless at first but can destroy you if you're not aware. 1. The constant victim. This is the person who never owns up to anything. Every bad thing is someone else's fault. They are always suffering, always treated badly, always wronged. You feel sorry for them. You try to help. You want to see them recover. But Jung noticed that living in constant victimhood often hides deep manipulation. When you are always the victim, you never have to face yourself. You don't need to change. You don't need to admit your flaws. The constant victim uses pain as a weapon. They guilt you. They twist stories. They turn your sympathy into duty. Instead of helping them, you just end up carrying them. The worst part? They don't really want healing. They want control. Jung warned that someone who is always a victim has likely merged with their shadow. They use helplessness as their power. They won't change, because change means losing the only tool they have, your pity. If you don't step back, you'll start to feel guilty for not being broken yourself. 2. The flattering mirror. Jung called this the trap of the persona. This person shows you exactly what you want to see. They agree with you, support you, laugh at your jokes, praise your dreams, calm your fears. At first, they feel like your biggest fan. But soon you notice, you don't actually know them. They're not showing you anything real. They're just copying you to win your trust. Jung wrote that when someone becomes too tied to their persona, they become a mask. The true self stays hidden, safe, untouchable. The flattering mirror feels safe, but there's nothing behind it. No real values, no steady ground, only the skill to copy, to impress, to adapt. They aren't loyal to you. They're loyal to your approval. The moment you stop giving it, they disappear, or worse, turn on you. You never met them. You only met your own reflection in their act. Trusting them is like holding smoke in your hands. 3. The passive-aggressive supporter. This one is quiet. They don't argue directly. They don't openly criticize. They let you speak, then slip in small doubts. You tell them your dream, and they say, "That's big. I just don't want you to get hurt." Or, "You're so bold to try that. I don't think I'd risk failing like that." It sounds supportive, but it isn't. Jung described this as the hidden shadow of the helper. They don't attack your choices outright. They weaken you slowly with suggestion. They call fear logic. They call doubt maturity. They call judgment care. And if you don't notice, you take their limits as your own. Jung saw this type as especially dangerous because they look like they are empowering you while quietly holding you back. If you grow without them, they lose their hold. They lose importance. To them, that feels like losing a piece of themselves. So they cut your wings before you fly, and then call it support. 4. The hidden competitor. This person doesn't try to beat the world. They try to beat you. But they won't show it directly. They act like a friend. They clap for your success. They pretend to be happy for you. But when something good happens for you, they find a way to spin it back to themselves. They play it down. They shift the spotlight. They tell their own story, just a little better, just a little bigger. Jung thought this kind of person acts out of hidden feelings of not being good enough. They don't really hate you. What they dislike is how you remind them of their own weakness. Instead of dealing with it and growing, they choose secret competition. They copy your ideas and claim them as their own. They give half compliments. They cheer for you only when they feel above you, never when you are ahead. You notice it in the fake praise, in the small shifts, in the uneasy vibe. If you ignore it, you'll keep trusting someone who quietly sees you as a rival, not a friend. And here's the catch. When you fall, they feel glad, but they won't admit it. They'll just say things like, "I thought this might happen. I warned you." This person isn't really on your team. They are a hidden rival pretending to support you while staying close enough to hurt you inside. Jung warned, never trust someone who can't clap when it's your win, not theirs. That's 4 out of 6. Each mask harder to see, each one more dangerous the longer you don't notice. Now, the last two, the wise manipulator and the caring empath who hides control under kindness. Jung said these ones often grow from old trauma and a shadow they never faced. He believed they were hardest to notice because they often look wise, helpful, or even healing. They don't use force. They control through your need for love, growth, or guidance. 5. The spiritual narcissist, the wise one. This person acts like they are calm, mature, and spiritually advanced. They talk softly. They quote philosophy. They bring up healing, mindfulness, and inner work. They seem above conflict, above ego. But in truth, they're attached to being seen as special. Jung called this a split self, where the outer side clings to spirituality, but the hidden side leaks out as pride, control, and judgment. The danger is, they don't argue to control you. They act calm while making you feel like the emotional one, the unhealed one, the weak one. When you push back, they say things like, "That sounds like a trigger you haven't worked through. I'm just holding space. You're projecting. You still have inner work to do." It sounds wise, but it's really a trick. They use nice words to dismiss your truth. You can't argue with them, because they won't admit there is an argument. You can't confront them, because they turn your anger into a problem in you. And the more aware you try to be, the more they twist it to keep themselves above you. They seem calm, untouchable, spiritual. Jung warned about this mask. The wise one didn't destroy their ego. They just dressed it up in crystals and robes. They hid it under spiritual talk and called it enlightenment. The more you look up to them, the more power they take. Not to help you grow, but to keep you small, lost, and always needing their guidance. They don't want equals. They want followers. They don't want real healing. They want authority. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake their stillness for depth when it's only a show. 6. The empath who controls. Jung wrote a lot about projection, how people put their own needs and pain onto others. This type is an expert at it. The empathic controller feels everything. They notice moods, tension, unspoken feelings. They cry easily. They comfort you often. At first, it feels like deep care and connection. But over time, it turns into control. They control you through sensitivity. You start changing your behavior so they don't feel upset. You hold back anger so you don't hurt them. You stop expressing frustration because they say things like, "That energy affects me too much." Before long, you're not being yourself at all. You're managing them, because they've made you believe their pain is your fault. Jung warned that many who claim extreme sensitivity are actually pushing their own inner chaos onto others. They expect the world to bend around their wounds. That's when empathy turns toxic. They don't want connection. They want safety at your cost. And if you fail to give it, they collapse and blame you. Suddenly, You're cold, uncaring, or unstable. But the truth is, it's not your storm. It's theirs. They just put it on you. If you're not careful, you'll spend months or even years trying to fix someone who never took responsibility for themselves. You'll confuse their emotional mess with depth. You'll mistake sensitivity for goodness. You'll mistake control for closeness. By the time you see it, your whole identity is tied to their drama. That isn't love. It's submission. Jung's advice was simple: walk away. Because this type will never admit danger. They'll only say, I just feel too much. And unless you're firmly grounded in yourself, you'll start believing it. You'll think their pain is your fault, their breakdowns are your duty, their chaos is your weight to carry. But it's not. You didn't cause it. You just got too close. The bigger warning. Now that you've seen all 6, you may wonder why people like this exist. Jung's answer was clear: they never faced their shadow. So now they push it on you. They never admitted their own need for control, so they control others in the name of love or help. They never owned their pain, so they made it your job to fix. These people are not rare. They are everywhere. And they survive best around those who don't know how to guard their energy. Jung believed the only defense is self-awareness. To spot the mask, you have to notice the kindness that feels off, hear what isn't being said, and walk away before you need proof. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now let's move past the list and into how you stop drawing these people in, why your own shadow makes you allow them, and how to finally become someone they can't use, control, or break. By now, you've seen them. The 6 people Jung said never to trust. Not because they're always evil, but because they have no awareness of themselves. When someone doesn't see their own shadow, they push it on you. They show up as the victim, the mirror, the quiet doubter, the hidden rival, the wise one, or the sensitive controller. They don't always come to destroy. They come to feed. Jung saw this not as moral weakness, but as a survival pattern, an unconscious way of holding themselves together by dumping out pain, control, and confusion. And if you don't see the pattern, you'll think it's bad luck. You'll think you just meet the wrong people. You'll think life is punishing you. But Jung's view was different: you're not punished, you're mirrored. That's the hard truth most people miss. You pull in what you haven't faced. If manipulators keep showing up, there's a part of you still afraid to stand in your own truth. If you're always surrounded by victims, there's a part of you that only feels valuable when needed. If you're betrayed by charm, you're still choosing approval over clarity. That's why this isn't just about who to avoid. It's about why you let them stay. And Jung said the answer lives in one place: your shadow. The shadow attracts the mask. Your shadow holds all the parts you pushed down: anger, intuition, pride, self-protection, the things you were told were too much, too selfish, too unlovable. So you buried them. You learned to be nice, agreeable, helpful, emotionally smart. But here's the trade: you lost your edge. You lost your instinct. You lost your shield. Because when you bury your anger, you accept disrespect. When you bury your intuition, you ignore red flags. When you bury your self-protection, you let in people who smile at you while slowly draining you. Jung didn't want you cold. He wanted you whole. And that means stopping the lie that your love is endless, your patience has no limit, or your trust should be given to anyone. It shouldn't. Not everyone deserves you. Especially not people living unconsciously. Here's the truth: some people aren't learning. They're just repeating. They've been the same for years. They don't do shadow work. They don't grow. They just change their language to hide the same old games. Unless you choose inner alignment over outer peace, you'll keep bending for people who wouldn't move an inch for you. So what now? If this hit you hard, good. It means something in you is waking up. It means you're done being easy to use. It means the old version of you, the one that needed approval, needed to fix, needed to feel needed, is finally tired. Here's what you do. 1. Check your circle. Ask yourself, who drains me? Who confuses me? Who makes me explain myself again and again? If someone always needs context just to treat you right, they're not lost. They're dodging responsibility. Let them go. Jung said withdrawal is powerful, not because you hate them, but because you've stopped abandoning yourself. 2. Let your shadow speak. Stop trying to be perfect. Say no. Get angry. Question people's motives. Your shadow isn't bad. It's protective. It's the part that remembers who you are when others try to gaslight you into forgetting. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. If you want peace, stop performing. Step into the part of you that can set boundaries and walk away. 3. Stop explaining. The right people won't need you to defend your limits. They'll feel them, respect them, and match you. The wrong ones will demand explanations, guilt-trip you, and blame you. Let them. Jung didn't believe in convincing unconscious people. He believed in being so rooted in yourself that their confusion doesn't slow you down. 4. Trust your first feeling. Most people aren't unsure, they're just hoping they're wrong. But you weren't. That moment your gut said, something's off, was real. That wasn't paranoia. That was your subconscious seeing the pattern before your head did. Listen to it. Because the people Jung warned about don't show up with warnings. They show up with praise, with emotional stories, with healing talk. Time always reveals them. When it does, you need to be far enough away that it costs you nothing. The last word. Jung didn't want you scared of the world. He wanted you to stop doubting yourself. The more shadow you face, the fewer toxic people can get near you. Not because you're hiding, but because your energy no longer lets them in. You stop fixing. You stop justifying. You stop lowering your standards. And without raising your voice, you become someone no manipulator can touch, no narcissist can fool, no rival can shake. You become what Jung wanted, awake, whole, impossible to trick.